When a left-leaning television host attempted to catch Donald Trump off guard with questions about his marriage during a live broadcast, she had no would turn into the most disastrous moment of her career. But before we get into the details, drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from. It was primetime television, aired on a major network with millions of viewers watching in real time. This host had a well-known reputation for putting conservative guests on the spot, and tonight she believed she had set the perfect trap. Her team had spent weeks crafting pointed questions meant to embarrass Trump and challenge his stance on family values. Yet she was completely unprepared for what would happen next. As the broadcast began, Trump sat composed in his chair, while the host wore that familiar artificial smile the kind media elites flash when they think they're about to ruin someone's image. 321 What followed wouldn't just derail her career, but would also serve as a powerful statement on what it means to defend family values. And it all started with what appeared to be an innocent question. On Mr. Trumpy, you've built an empire, led the country, and influenced millions. Would you say your success is simply luck? She posed the question with that polished grin, the type that makes you wonder about the real intention behind it. But Trump had seen this strategy before. Start with a seemingly harmless inquiry, then turn it into an attack, leaning forwards lightly, aimed their gaze with a look that blended confidence and amusement. You know, that's an interesting question, Trump said, his stunned, calm, and deliberate. Liberals love that word luck. They use it to downplay achieve, meant to imply that dedication and effort don't matter. But let me tell you something about luck. He continued, luck doesn't construct skyscrapers, it doesn't generate thousands of jobs, and it certainly doesn't make America great. You could see it in here. Yes, this was not the reaction she had anticipated, but she wasn't ready to back down yet. Their smiles stiffened just slightly as she prepared to push forward. So you're claiming that everything you've accomplished is solely the result of hard work? I'm saying, Trump responded, his voice growing more forceful, that success belongs to those who earn it. As I've been fortunate, but I've also worked harder than most can comprehend. There have been nights without sleep, deals that felt unattainable, and obstacles that would have crushed many others. But here's what truly matters. I've never done it alone. The host's eyebrows lifted slightly. There it was, the moment she had been waiting for, or so she thought. Unbeknownst to her, she was about to step into a discussion that would reveal far more about herself than her subject. Not alone, she asked, her voice laced with feigned curiosity. Let's discuss the people behind Donald Trump. Of course, Trump continued, when you mention those around me, you're likely referring to my business partners and advisors, but let me tell you who truly deserves recognition: my family, especially Melania. The host's expression shifted ever so slightly, like a hunter sensing vulnerability. She believed she had found her angle. He has Melania, you know, many wonder about her role in all of this. Some say he's unusually reserved for the wife of such a powerful man. Trump's eyes narrowed just a bit. The atmosphere in the studio thickened as she responded, quiet or dignified. Yes, there's a significant difference, though. I understand why some in the media might struggle with that concept. A faint ripple of nervous laughter moved through the audience. The host adjusted her posture, clearly unprepared for such resistance. But she pressed forward, her tone adopting a faux concern that fooled noon. Well, what I mean is we rarely hear from her, unlike other political wives who are far more visible. Don't you think the public has the right to know more about the woman standing beside Donald Trump with a mix of pride and unwavering resolve? Trump responded, the public already knows exactly what they need to about Melania. She's intelligent, accomplished, and deliberate in choosing when to speak, unlike those who feel compelled to fill every silence with chatter. The audience murmured in agreement. The host's polished smile wavered briefly as she realized her usual strategies weren't having their intended effect. But rather than stepping back, she decided to press forward. Let's discuss those accomplishments, she said, her tone growing sharper, because some argue, or at least wonder, if her greatest achievement is simply being Mrs. Donald Trump. The room seemed to turn noticeably colder. Trump's expression became rigid. The cameraman exchanged a knowing glance. What unfolded next would become one of the most talked about moments in television history. Let me make something very clear, Trump said, leaning in slightly. If you want to talk about achievements, let's stick to the facts. Melania is fluent in 5 languages. She has built a successful career on her own. She has represented this country with more grace and dignity than any first lady in recent history. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because the mainstream media is too busy pushing their own version of events. Sensing she had lost control of the exchange, the host attempted another angle. Of course, Mr. Trump, but wouldn't you agree that being married to you has given her certain advantages? Trump let out a short chuckle, thought there was no amusement in it. You know what's fascinating about that question? It highlights exactly what's wrong with how some people perceive success. It's not about which doors open for you, it's about what you do once you're inside. And Melania doesn't just walk into a room, she transforms it. The audience erupted in spontaneous applause. Yulia served for the wife of such a powerful man. Trump's eyes narrowed a bit. The atmosphere in the studio thickened. A Cher responded quiet or dignified. Yes, there's a significant difference, though. I understand why some in the media might struggle with that concept. A faint ripple of nervous laughter moved through the audience. The host adjusted her posture, clearly unprepared for such resistance, but she pressed forward, her tone adopting a fox concern that fooled Noon well. What I mean is we'll rarely hear from her, unlike other political wives who are far more visible. The host's cheeks flushed faintly as she became aware that her argument was beginning to unravel. Still, she pressed forward, her voice tinged with desperation. Surely you have to acknowledge that your status, your fortune, your influence, all of its hate, show people perceive her. Trump's reply was swift and pointed. You mean how people like you perceive her? Because let me explain something about influence and wealth. They don't build character, they expose it, and through every obstacle, every attack, and every unfair judgment. Melania has shown exactly why I am honored to have her be my side. The host's confident smile had now disappeared, but she was on the verge of making her biggest mistake. Well, since you brought up being by why. Our side, she said, her tone gaining boldness. Let's talk about that, your lifestyle, Miss Trump. The relentless attention, the pressure, the scrutiny. Wouldn't you say it's difficult for someone who never sought this level of public exposure? You know what's truly difficult? Trump shot back, his voice calm but firm, watching the media distort reality to fit their own version of the story. Melania didn't just adjust to this life she has flourished in it, despite relentless attacks from those who claim to for women's empowerment. The host leaned in, believing she had no weakness, but a pressure must be immense. The constant travel, the public engagements, the weight of expectations. Some might say it's almost like being confined in a gilded cage. A gilded cage. Trump's eyebrows lifted. That's an interesting phrase. Let me ask you something. Why is it that when a woman is strong and independent, the media applauds her, unless she happens to be conservative, then suddenly she's trapped or restricted? The audience murmured in agreement. The host's composure wavered as she recognized that her argument was backfiring. I merely suggest, Tings he tempted to regain control, that perhaps this isn't the life she originally envisioned for herself. Always being overshadowed by Yumi. Shadow. Trump interjected, his tone a blend of amusement and irritation. I think you're confusing being in the dark with standing in the spotlight. Melania isn't in anyone's shadow, she shines on her own. But you wouldn't grasp that, would you? Because your kind of journalism isn't about truth. It's about fabricating shadows where none exist. The studio fell into an unnatural silence. The producers pokered gently into her piece, but the host had already made her decision. She was about to cross a boundary that would make television history, though not in the way she intended. Her next question would soon vary. One in the room. Miss Trump, she said, abandoning any facade of professionalism, let's cut to the chase. You're a wealthy, powerful many. You could be with any woman you choose. You're main with someone who she hesitated for, dramatic effecting alongside. You never considered upgrading? A deafening silence filled the studio. A few audience members gasped audibly. Trump remained motionless, his expression unreadable for a long moment. Upgrading, Heffenly repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. Let me explain something about values, Ince. That seems to be your only metric in business. Yes, you sometimes straight up you look for a better offer, a newer version, a shinier alternative. But this isn't about property or cars. This is about my wife, my partner, the mother of my son. He forward locking eyes with the host. And let me tell you what real value is. Real value is someone who stands by you when the camera stops rolling. Real value is someone who tells you the truth when everyone else just tells you what you want to hear. Real value is loyalty, integrity, and character qualities that clearly aren't taught in Journalism school. Anymore. The host's face had gone pale. She parted her lips to respond, but Trump wasn't done. Isn't it interesting? His voice grew stronger as she continued. You sit there questioning whether I've considered an upgrade, all while proving exactly why your ratings are plummeting, because you fail to recognize genuine value. You fail to grasp authentic relationships. And you certainly don't comprehend true respect. The audience responded with scattered applause. But the worst was yet to come for the host. Their attempt to recover would only make things worse. I didn't meant to imply, she stammered, but Trump swiftly interrupted. Oh, but you did. You meant every word you said. And that's the issue with mainstream media today. You make these statements, you hint at these ideas, and when someone calls you out, you ride a back pedal. But let me explain something about real relationships to you. The host shifted uncomfortably in her chair. As Trump pressed on his voice, carried the weight of someone addressing not just her but the entire audience, Melania, and I have built something that most people only dream of, a partnership, a genuine partnership, not the kind you write about in gossip columns, not the kind you attempt to tear down with your loaded questions. We've faced hardships together. We've celebrated successes together. We've built a life together. He paused, letting the words settle. The studio was now completely silent. Every person in the room was waiting for what he would say next. And you suggest that he should consider trading up. Let me tell you what that really means. You're implying that it should replace loyalty with vanity, swap depth for superficiality, give up real love for what a young version. That's not just offensive to Melania. It's offensive to every woman watching the show. It's offensive to anyone who values genuine relationships. The show's producer frantically signaled to cut a commercial. But Trump wasn't finished, and everyone knew that stopping him now would only make matters worse. You want to know why I stay with Melania? Because she's one of a kind, not just because of her beauty, though she's stunning inside and out, but because of the person she is, her resilience, her elegance, her intellect, her compassion. These aren't qualities your place, these are qualities you cherish. The audience had begun nodding along, some even dabbing at their eyes. But Trump wasn't finished. He was about to deliver the statement that would turn this interview into an unforgettable moment. And let me tell you something else. Trump continued, his voice now carrying a weight of authority that filled the room. The fact that you would even ask that question exposes everything wrong with the way the media treats relationships today. You see everything as disposable, marriages, commitments, principles, toy youth. They're just commodities to be tossed aside in your endless pursuit of scandal. He motioned toward the camera, toward the live audience, toward the entire spectacle you bring. Opplianto shows like this pretending to have meaningful discussions, but what you're really chasing is controversy, headlines. You're searching for that viral moment. Well, congratulations, you're about to get one. The host's forced smile had now completely disappeared. She looked like someone witnessing her career crumble before here. Yes, Miss Trump, I believe you're misunderstanding. She tempted to cut. I understand exactly what you meant. To now let me tell you what everyone watching at home is thinking. They're thinking about their own relationships, when marriages, the years they've invested in building something real with someone they love. And they're appalled by your insinuation that all that time, all that devotion, all that love should simply be discarded for what, a sheenier replacement. The audience erupted in applause, but Trump lifted a hand signaling them to quiet down. He wasn't done. You know what truly makes America great? It's not just our achievements, it's our values, our families, our loyalty or commitments. The true essence of relationships. This isn't about convenience or fitting, and Eli's image from magazine cover sits about unwavering support through life's ups and downs. Leaning back in his chair, he now had full control of the conversations. Oh no, I've never considered seeking something better, because there's nothing better than Melania. There's no aid from someone who has stood beside you through everything, who has helped shape you into a better person, who has been your foundation in every storm. The host fumbled with her note cards, scrambling to regain control of the interview. But it was already too late. The balance of power had shifted permanently, and let me tell you something else. Trump continued, preparing to deliver the decisive remark that would make this interview unforgettable. Their story here isn't about me or Melania, he said, his stone, now more instructive than defensive. It's about you, about what you're representing in today's media. He motioned toward her note cards. You came in with your pre-written questions, your little trap shopping to uncover some things. Scandalous, but instead you've only revealed yourself. You've shown the audience exactly what's wrong with mainstream media. Today, the producer frantically signaled through the host's earpiece, but she remained motionless, unable to reclaim control. You see, Trump went on, you thought you'd humiliate me by suggesting I'd leave my wife for someone younger, but in doing so, you've only embarrassed yourself, proving you don't grasp the meaning of true relationships. Real commitment or genuine journalism. The audience began shifting in their seats, many nodding in agreement, some even rising to their feet. Let me tell you what real journalism looks like. He continued, it would ask about Melania's charitable efforts, her work as First Lady, and the influences she's had on millions of Americans, but that wouldn't give you your viral moment, would it? That LDN to line with your narrative. Trump leaned in, his tone sharpening. Do you know what frustrates people the most about the mainstream media? It's not just the bias that's obvious to everyone. It's the fact that real journalism has been abandoned in favor of cheap shots and sensationalism. You've sacrificed depth for drama. The host tried to interject. Miss Trump, we're simply asking questions on behalf of our viewers. No, Trump interrupted, his voice firm. You're trying to stir controversy where none exists. You're implying that someone in my position would naturally and to leave his wife for a younger woman because that aligns with your shallow perspective. But let me tell you something, real men, real leaders honor their commitments, they uphold their vows. They recognize the true worth of a strong partnership. The audience erupted in applause, droning out the host's attempts to regain control. But Trump wasn't finished. He had one last point to make, and that's the thing about real partnerships. Trump continued, now speaking with steady confidence. They grow stronger over time. Every challenge faced together, every triumph and every storm weathered, it all builds something far beyond what your shallow mindset can grasp. The host, scrambling to regain control, made one final attempt. Mr. Trump, we're just trying to have an honest discussion. Honest, Trump let out a laugh. You want one style, it's be honest. You came here, hopping to humiliate, meta paint my marriage, a superficial or convenient. Instead, all you've done is prove why the American people no longer trust the media. He gestured toward the audience and the cameras. Look around. This studio, every person here knows exactly what you were trying to do, and so does everyone watching at home. They saw right through these maneuvers. They recognized what genuine relationships truly looked like. The host's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Her producer was now desperately motioning for a commercial break, but Trump raised his hand. No, let's finish this, because there's one last thing everyone needs to hear. The studio fell into complete silence. Even the cameramen leaned in, slightly aware they were witnessing a moment that would be replayed for years. The reason your question about trading up upsets people so much, Trump said, his voice carrying both authority and sincere emotion, isn't just because it's an insult to Melania. It's because it disrespects every couple who has grown older together, every relationship that has endured life's hardships, every marriage built on something far deeper than the shallow images in your Hollywood magazines. She paused, staring straight into the camera, and you sit there, implying all of that should be discarded for what, a younger face. The host attempted to respond, but her voice had lost its earlier confidence. Trump continued, this isn't just about standing up for my marriage. It's about standing up for every marriage built on true love, real commitment, and genuine values. Because that's what makes America great, not the superficial ideals you promote, but the deep, lasting bonds that keep families and communities strong. The audience erupted into extended applauses. Several people stood up from their seats. The host producer had abandoned any attempt to salvage the situation, realizing this moment would go down in television history, and Trump wasn't done just yet. His final words would soon become the most quoted part of this now legendary interview. Let me leave you with this thought, Trump said as she leaned forwards lightly in his chair. To everyone watch Neng, who has remained devoted to their spouse through every challenge, who has chosen commitment over convenience, who has built a meaningful life with a true partner. You are the backbone of America, not the media elites with their distorted morals, not the Hollywood crowd with their fleeting relationships. She turned his gaze back to the host, who appeared to shrink into her chair. And as for you, I hope this serves as a lesson in real journalism, genuine relationships, and true respect, because right now America isn't just seeing me stand up for my wife, they witnessing you. You reveal everything wrong with today's media. The audience burst into applause, rising to their feet in approval. The host producer finally signaled for a commercial break, but the damage had already been done. Within hours, clips from the interview would flood the internet. Social media would be ablaze with praise for Trump's passionate defense of marriage and family values. Even his harshest critics would have to acknowledge that this was a masterclass in flipping the script on a confrontational press. If you like this story, don't forget hit that like button and subscribe, and always remember, real relationships aren't about seeking something better, they're about standing firm together. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Until next time.